a series of lives to talk about sleep. And both of us are in the leadership space. Actually a burnout coach. I'm an executive coach, certified PQ coach, keynote speaker, trainer, author. And I focus primarily on stress and burnout. And one of those factors when you're stressed and burnout is sleep. So when Alex and I connected and he was sharing his pearls of wisdom, I was just blown away. So excited that he's here and we can have this amazing conversation. So Alex, take it away.
Well, thanks, Lisa. Hi, everyone. My name's Alex. I'm a sleep coach. Like many coaches in sleep, I'm self-taught. I struggled with sleep for a long time, going back maybe 10 years now. Young family, have tinnitus, which is, a classic sleep disruptor. I've had that for 20 years now. And had psoriasis at the same time.
Oh, goodness.
Both those conditions are extremely stress related.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like they were feeding off each other. I'd wake up and ringing, itching. Felt like torture.
I can imagine.
So I had to do something about it, basically. And that was kind of the start of not just sleep, but my health journey in her health journey itself, sleep being, a major part of it and the thing that I'm interested in most.
Awesome. That makes perfect sense. So today, Alex is going to go into some detail as to break down some of the myths that we have had on what basically quantifies good sleep and how we go about doing it. So yeah, why don't you start and kind of share some of those myths and kind of set the frame of what we're talking about today.
Okay, so just to set the scene, what we're talking about is signals here, the signals, and primarily that's light exposure. Most people, when you talk to them about sleep, really think in duration. We've kind of all been, I don't know, through social and cultural messages where, we need 8 hours of sleep or we need between 7 and 9 hours sleep. It's become like it's like a choice and a decision that you make. Oh, I need to catch up, and I maybe need to go to sleep earlier, or I'm behind on my hours, so I'm going to catch up on the weekend.
Yeah, doesn't work. Yeah, doesn't work.
So when you listen to these things, it's more about duration. Really, there's 4 things when it comes to what I would call high quality sleep. 1 is duration. 2 is when is that duration? So when in the 24-hour period are you having it? 3 is what's happening while you're asleep. What's the quality like? And we can touch on what that means. And then consistency, how often, how consistently are you achieving those previous 3 things?
Okay. Yeah, I was always under the assumption that, quality, well, actually it was really quantity of sleep. And since I have been faithful about wearing a smartwatch, that's the one good thing about technology, is it does show you like your quality of sleep. And it's been surprising to me that on some nights when I've actually slept less, I have better quality of sleep because of fewer interruptions. And I know you're going to go into all of this, but yeah, it's just really interesting because I always thought, oh, you had to have, like you said, the 7 to 9 hours sleep, and that was a consistent thing. But then I also learned that it's very important to have the deep sleep because that's how your body heals. But also you have to have the REM sleep too. So yeah.
I think you highlighted a good point there without realizing it, that these smartwatches it can be useful. But I mean, accuracy aside, they do allow you to monitor the change of sleep, but the challenge with them is they don't really give you good kind of advice of how to make it better. So you only quantify how good it is based on previous sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't really get to find out just how good it could actually get.
Yeah, absolutely.
And plus, you need to be careful with these. If you're a type of person who's really into the detail, that can actually prevent
Make
you
it worse.
getting good sleep because you're thinking too much
Yeah.
about it. So, I mean, let's go into what these sleep signals mean, or what they are. But first, I think we just need to address what's driving sleep, because there's two independent systems that people might not be aware of. So there's two things driving sleep, not just one. So one is what we're talking about today, which is circadian rhythm. This is about timing and light.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is sleep pressure. So this is the buildup of cellular waste in the brain called adenosine. This is the byproduct of activity. This is the cost of being alive, if you like. So that builds up over the day, and then when you sleep, you should clear it all back out, and then you start again, and it goes up. And then this is the one that caffeine interferes with. So caffeine is very similar to adenosine. Caffeine will block the adenosine receptor, so adenosine can't get in and create the feeling of being tired.
Okay.
So let's park that one. It's important still.
Yeah.
But circadian rhythm and light exposure dictates more how much quality you get, and will dictate how well that adenosine breaks down during sleep. So they are separate, but light exposure and circadian rhythm are kind of more important for quality.
Yes, that actually, I want to ask you something. So, I don't know if where you live in the UK, if you do a time change, but we do in the US where I am. And I will tell you, I have for years have said, let's just get rid of this. I mean, at one time they did it, because the farmers needed it. They needed more light so they could, do their crops. Well, now everything is so much automated that studies have shown that it's not really for the farmers. And as a result, it's really messing up individuals' circadian rhythm. In fact, there's been all of this research to support that after, especially in the spring, when we spring forward and we actually lose the sleep, that it actually there's a greater risk of heart attack and stroke afterwards. And I know personally, it really takes me like a full week to acclimate. And I'd love to hear just kind of what your thoughts are like on the whole time change thing.
Yeah. So when I first heard about the heart attacks, I was quite shocked actually. So there is a spike in more heart attacks when the clocks go back, and then less when they go forward. Now, the people who are having these heart attacks, their health is obviously already compromised. Their sleep is probably already compromised. So what I would say is that yes, the change in time does have an effect for sure. An hour in the great scheme of things isn't loads, but it isn't darkness. It isn't the sudden darkness that creates the change, because people can be misaligned in summer quite easily if they're not getting the right light at the right time, not getting outside. You can still be chronically misaligned. It's just the longer days and the more socializing and the warmer weather kind of masks those mood, the low mood that can happen, and then suddenly when the light does change, bang, it gets exposed more, because then you suddenly know it's dark, I can't go out as much, it's colder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just that sudden change, really,
Right.
for the most of us that's creating. It does have an effect
Mm-hmm.
that you have to recover and work through, yes. But it's just exposing what was already there, really.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I know light sensitivity. That's such a big thing. I know what I've found, I've had to wear a sleep mask because I am so sensitive to light. And I noticed that I was
Mm.
getting more deep sleep when I started to wear a sleep mask. So, but anyways, please continue.
Okay. So if we now just talk about sleep signals and light, and kind of, why they're important, why we have these systems, and why we need to think about it. So, I mean, let's look at it through an evolutionary lens for a second. So, human evolution, you could argue, is 2 million years, give or take. But the systems that are involved with sleep started, in other mammals, going back hundreds of millions of years. Sleep in itself, very primitive. It's changed over the course of billions of years. But then if you imagine that the amount of days we've had, circling the sun, it's not just years, it's times 365. So our biology is so entrenched in this movement around the sun. Before the light bulb was invented, going back to early humans, we lived, with the sun. We didn't live in houses and buildings. We woke up with light, and we went to sleep with light. So that's kind of the approach that we need to take, really, in order to, make our sleep as good as possible. We have to work with our daily lives,
Mm-hmm.
but adapt our environments and some of our behaviors just to, allow those signals that the brain is expecting, in order to align our biology.
So how do we do that? Give some tips. Give some tips.
Well, I was going to say the tips for the end, but
Okay.
let's go with it. So, but if we let's imagine that we're living out on the prairie or whatever before. We woke up with light. So actually what happens is, if your eyes are shut and you're asleep, light will not wake you up until you come out of the last REM cycle, until you
Okay.
hit light sleep, and then you wake up. So it's a more gentle way of waking up. That's how we naturally did it. Sound will just cut you off,
Mm-hmm.
in whatever stage you're at. So the light goes straight into the eye, into the brain, and it hits a nucleus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN. That nucleus then communicates with all your organs via your nervous system. So that light is setting your internal clock.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
not cognitively we know what time it is. It's our body
That's
knowing
telling
what
us.
time
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
So this affects mainly hormone timing and release,
Mm-hmm.
amount, and body temperature. So that concoction of all our hormones, when they're released, and come down, they're all on different schedules, obviously, depending, but they're all genetically disposed. We all have a natural sleep rhythm based on our genetics. And if we don't have the light signal in the morning, and if it gets disrupted, or we do things in the evening in front of screens that disrupt it, our unique pattern of hormone release will get skewed. How it gets skewed, that's a level of detail we don't really need to know, but it effectively alters your mood, when you feel tired, when you feel strong, when you can focus. So, you know, these things are happening in your body, and driving how you feel and how you're driven to behave and stuff. But we're not really recognizing that it's actually light exposure is the root cause.
Yeah, and that makes sense because, you know, like in the US, there's the Pacific Northwest or, you know, Alaska, where there's periods of darkness or twilight, especially in Alaska, you know, for, I don't know, however many months out of the year. But like Seattle, for example, you know, because they're dark and gray for such a large portion, they have a higher suicide rate. So it makes perfect sense from what you're saying because they're not getting enough of the right light exposure. So it's messing up their circadian rhythm and it's impacting their hormones. So it's a real reason why natural light is so important. So that's awesome.
We actually evolved at the equator.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the hottest place. And that was, you know, with the sun, so with the rising and falling of the sun. When we migrated, we didn't evolve anymore. You know, we didn't evolve to deal with that change in the timing of light. Because a lot of clients say to me, oh, well, it's dark outside, so why don't I need light now? You know, I thought we're meant to be with the sun. It's like, well, your biology, you know, is entrenched in, you know, that original evolutionary time, not where you are now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. No, this is awesome. This is awesome. He's
So obviously when we invented the light bulb, and you know, it was a great invention, but you know, things basically started to fall down. And the challenge with this is that, and from a health perspective, we kind of get used to health being these kind of high effort, long duration things like, you know, exercise. You know, we have to take time out to do exercise, and nutrition is, you know, hard anyway. You know, it takes a lot of stress, you know, with weight loss. Those things are directly felt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you eat poorly, high sugar, you feel it straight away. You exercise, you feel out of breath quickly. You know, the very cause and effect is very direct and quick. Whereas light exposure isn't. That's why we don't recognize the impact of it cleanly, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those things where when you fix it and optimize it, you're like, wow, okay. Yeah, it was having an effect that I couldn't tell. Because
So what do you do to get that light exposure? I mean, what do you recommend?
So, I mean, there's a lot. There's quite a lot, and I don't want to turn this into a full-on, you know, list and coaching. But there's 4 areas: morning, daytime, evening, and technology. These are the 4 areas that you need to think about and optimize. And we touch on the morning. You can, if you have daylight outside when you get up, great, go and get daylight. But we're all busy. Well, I don't certainly have that in the UK at the minute, but we're all busy anyway. So maybe you could do that on a weekend, because it's not really practical just to spend 10 minutes outside in the morning and not do anything. You know, it'd be nice if we could all do that. But
yeah, drink your coffee or take the animal out.
Well, not coffee that early. I have to. But what we call a SAD light, the seasonal affective disorder or daylight lamp, is a very useful tool. People, you know, use them through the day, and that's fine if you can't go outside. But you can use this as a tool to set the rhythm in the morning. So I have mine in my kitchen, and as soon as I get up, I turn it on, and I'm preparing my breakfast in front of it and eating my breakfast in front of it. which equates to, say 10 minutes. And I have some, I don't think you can quite see, but I have that you can see the orange glow. I have a special bulb in the ceiling that has, it's called BioLight. So it's a bit like that lamp I just described, but it flicks between daylight and orange, depending on the time. So I have that one as well.
Okay. And this just keeps your circadian rhythm.
That is the most important thing you need to do.
Okay.
If you don't do that, then generally everything else doesn't have much impact, except in the evening, which is very easy to destroy what you've already done earlier if you're not careful.
Right.
Daytime, yes, absolutely get outside or use a lamp. Take light breaks. They don't have to be long. Combine it with a walk. It's just another reason to do it. Walk, socialize with a colleague, and you're getting light.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think of that last one, but it does matter. And then the evening, obviously, LED bulbs in your house. If you're switching them back on, when you get into C, that's already disrupting your sleep because you've probably already had loads of blue light from your screen at work. Now you're getting more blue light from your bulbs. You may be on your phone screen when it's dark outside. Using outside as kind of a gauge is the way to go. It gets dark here, maybe 5 o'clock now. I'm not saying you need to wear blue blocking glasses at that early, but you don't want to be having LED lights on in your house. It's just telling your brain that it's daytime. The reason the sky's blue and, blue light tells the brain to be active. Because of that evolutionary context. So if you're exposing your brain to blue light when it's not daylight, you're confusing your body. So
that makes sense. So if you're if you're in a climate that then it's dark a lot, go outside if it's not dark, but then get these lamps that you're talking about to kind of help keep you the right
going back to what we said about the equator, if you're at the extremes,
right,
it's dark, the same rules kind of don't apply exactly. You would have to pick a time, really. You would say, okay, we'll say between 8 and 6 is light, and you will go off that accordingly. As long as you did it consistently, it would keep your sleep consistent.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. So let's see, what else? What other pearls of wisdom? I know we've already almost 24 minutes.
Blue blocking glasses are they're if you don't watch TV or you're not on a screen before bed, that's fine. But they make a world of difference, and actually green light as well has been proven to disrupt sleep. Green is right next to blue in the spectrum.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
they are more expensive, but I would recommend blue and green blocking glasses, especially if you're on a screen reading. If it's earlier on in the evening and I want to be on my phone or iPad, I will wear them. TV, I'll delay it. An hour and a half is okay before bed. Yes, it does change how the TV looks. But when you feel the benefit of your sleep, it's just necessary, really.
Yeah. Or just don't watch it.
Oh, don't watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't watch it. Yeah. All right. So what other pearls of wisdom do you have in our roughly last 5 minutes?
Is there anyone on the chat that has a question or?
I don't see anybody. I saw like a comment from Jem. Hi, Jem. But no, I did not see anybody that had a particular question.
Okay. So we'll jump back to, I think you mentioned it earlier, but this idea of what we call book ending sleep.
Yes.
what happens is if your hormones are skewed because your light exposure is off, it will delay sleep. It won't bring it back. It'll delay it. Most people are going to bed too late, so they judge their what we call chronotype based on their behavior. Oh, I feel tired later, so I must be a night person, which is not the case. When your light exposure is off and your hormones are skewed, it's pushing your biology late. I mean, I used to go to bed at maybe 11. Now I'm going at half 9, half 9, 10, which in my opinion is a great thing. I would much rather have more energy and time in the morning to prepare for the day rather than to kind of scroll on my phone and look for things to do in the evening and not really preparing for sleep, which is what a lot of people do.
Yes. Now I have a friend, actually I have a couple of friends who are total night owls. They have, and I guess it's just the way their circadian rhythm is, they are the most productive in the evening. Mornings are hard for them. And I'm like you, Alex, I'm the most productive in the morning after I've had my coffee, because I do enjoy my cup of coffee, and have had a good night's sleep. But then I'm totally in the zone and very productive. I get really fatigued like later in the day. So how do you speak to that?
So the science says that there are 4 chronotypes. It's not just morning or evening. There's 4. So they're being named as lion, early, bear, kind of the middle, most people, wolf, late, and then dolphin, which is kind of these are kind of in natural insomniacs. They, for whatever reason, don't tend to sleep too well, but that's only around 10%. Most people, the 50% bears, are kind of following that sun timing. 15% wolves, 15% lions. So, 1 in, is it 2 in, oh, my maths is bad here. 3 in 20 people are naturally late people. It's
Interesting.
not
Okay.
too many. But it all comes back down to the timing of the hormones. The reason they may feel more alert later is because of their natural rhythm, basically.
Yeah. They get up later and then they go to bed at like midnight or 1. Yeah. And they're very productive.
If you can design it, being a lion and a bear is fine in our modern society. When you're a wolf, it becomes more challenging because ideally you would sleep later. I mean, if you can have your life design it around it, then that's fine. But I do know of people who've even stopped eating with their family at their meal times and eating it later because, I mean, they weren't sleeping well, but they recognized that they had to really change when they did things to align with their own rhythm. So they felt much better, overall, but they had to change when they were doing things.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
If you're going to bed too late, you're missing that first block of the most beneficial deep sleep because the body doesn't say, oh, you went later, we'll just start where where we were meant to. You just get less physical rejuvenation. So that's what's happening to a big block of people who've had their sleep shifted back. They're not getting the physical rejuvenation they should. That's when muscle adapts and grows, when cellular regeneration happens. It's a really big deal. And then if you couple that with getting up early for whatever reason, I'm a 4 a.m. riser, and maybe people who want to exercise, which is fine, but if you're getting up too early, you're missing the biggest block of REM because I mean, evolution was genius, really, because from a survival point of view, you wanted most physical rejuvenation early. because if you then got disturbed later, you would still be in a better survival
Right.
situation. For whatever reason, the REM sleep came later, and you get most of that later on, which is why you remember your dreams most, because they're closer to when you woke up. But
Which
if you're
makes
deciding
sense.
to get up early, you're
Yeah.
missing out on the REM, which is critical for emotional recovery and memory consolidation. So if you bookend sleep, going to bed late and getting up early, you're really taxing your physiology.
Interesting. So we had a comment. So Jim made a comment that said, now for me, when I am going to work on something, before I start on it, I first sleep off for like 15 minutes. And then when I wake up, I am very sharp and open. What is that and why it happens to me like that?
So when we're talking about napping here, right? Napping is an extremely useful tool. I do it sometimes. What's usually happening is, I don't know if they had the beginning conversation, but that adenosine that we're meant to break down, if we don't, that's kind of what makes us feel a bit fuzzy and off, because it's cellular waste that's still in the brain that hasn't been cleared. So it makes us, just our focus a bit less. So a nap is basically a second chance to, bring that back down, really. So when you wake up, the clearing's a bit basically more focused because you've broken down that cellular byproduct.
Okay. So that's what's happening for him. Now I'm the opposite. Unless I am sick, to nap, it so messes with my body clock that I am nauseous and I feel hungover.
Yeah. I mean, that can happen. Yeah. If I do nap, I'll do it late morning. Even if I do it in the afternoon early, it will interrupt with my sleep. So
Yeah.
my opinion is the earlier the better if you can.
Okay. So it sounds kind of like what Jim was saying that he was doing. Well, we're at 32 minutes. So any wrap up that you want to share? Any last pearls of wisdom?
I think we touched on it at the beginning, but just recognizing that good sleep is upstream from kind of decisions. Once you design your schedule around light to start with, there are other things, but that is really if you don't do that, then you can't really optimize sleep. You can drink less alcohol, you can drink less caffeine, but the circadian rhythm piece is huge. Starting with light, and it's the bit that nobody really gets told about. We're all trying to just mess with duration without understanding, how sleep really occurs.
Yeah. So getting that light first thing in the morning is so important.
Yeah.
Okay, go outside if you can.
That's the number one, and every day as well.
Okay.
Second is blue blocking glasses in the evening. Just don't allow blue light to disturb your sleep.
So either if you don't want to invest in that, oops, we lost him. Yeah, we lost him there for a minute.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So if you don't want to invest in the blue light or the glasses, then just don't look at your screens, like a couple hours before bedtime, probably.
Yeah, or reduce the brightness, increase the distance if you can.
Okay.
Some TVs do have light options. I think Samsung, the last I looked, you could alter the blue hue.
And I know like iPads and things like that,
Yeah, use night mode, dark mode.
Okay.
Experiment with all the settings. You can stack these individually. They're small, but if you do a lot of them, it will help, as long as you do the morning.
Right. Okay. Well, Alex, this has been awesome. You're amazing. You have so much knowledge in this, and I just thank you so much for being on this. Jim, thanks for watching. And so I guess what you're doing with your naps is a good thing. So continue. And for those of you who maybe watched or are going to watch the recording, thanks so much. All right.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.